What's up, guys? 101 here. Today, me and my dad
Hey!
are going to be working on his bike. That is, the clutch area is semi done.
This is the primary
Okay.
cover. We are going to put a new gasket in it. So, in order to put the gasket on it, we're going to take the cover off. And you say, well, why do you have the cover on it? To protect it from the elements. So, the bolts are not tight, mind you. It's not a permanent fixture piece. It's just keep it on there so that the bugs and the dirt and the moisture don't get on your brand new clutch. You know.
So, I'm not exactly sure what kind of bike this is. I do know this one thing, that when I was very little, he had this bike and he owns this now, and well, he's owned it for who knows how long. I don't. I know you do. But
'07.
basically he can tell you what the bike is, all the details of it, and exactly what he wants and the envision of it. And eventually, when we get more progressed in this, I can probably make a visual, me and him can make a visual, like, computer design of what the end can turn out to be, and I can post it on the screen for you guys to see what the finish should look like compared to what it's going to look like. So, I'm going to turn the camera around over to him so he can show you everything and tell you all the little things that he's doing, and I will be behind the camera. So, here we go.
So, the primary cover is fastened with these little bolts. They're not very strong, so it does not take a whole lot of heavy torque. Doesn't take a lot of big bolt. It doesn't take a big bolt to hold this little cover on. If you'll notice, it's not a flat tip. It's not a cross point or a Phillips. It's actually what they call an Allen key or a hex. So this is your Allen key, Allen tool. Has 5 sides to it, and it's on a ratchet with an extension. And we have new bolts to install later. But for now, we're going to remove the cover so that we can put the new gasket on. If you want to pan over here, you can see we have 2 gaskets. These are the gaskets. These are not the gaskets. These are the gaskets. You say, why is there 2? When we bought the first one, they were incorrect and they gave me the wrong one. Kind of held up production. But we got the new one, and we are now going to install the new one. After it is installed, we will be able to add fluid, oil that is, to the clutch area and the crank. And the crank and the clutch is connected by a chain, and you'll notice later that it has a tensioner which keeps the chain to a proper tension for longer wear. And these are actually tighter than what I expected.
So
let's pause it for a minute so that we can get all these screws out. And that waste a whole bunch of money.
Alright, but I do want to do this one thing. I have a feeling a lot of people are asking what this is, or if this is a separate piece than the entire thing.
Okay, we'll get to that. Are you still recording? Okay, so I want to get this off here. So what I'm going to use is a longer extension. You'll see, like, a longer extension makes it easier to hold these bolts out. And you want to be careful. Don't go scratching your brand new chrome covers. And keep them nearby so they don't roll off your table. Now you'll notice that there are different lengths. There is shorter ones and then there's longer ones. You want to make sure that they go back in the right place. Otherwise you stand a chance of either ruining the thread on the bolt or breaking through the back of the inner primary cover. This is the inner, this is the outer primary. You should always have a manual available when you're doing these overhauls, so that in case you are insecure of your build, there's 5, same length. And here's longer. See how longer they are? So you have 5 that are one size and they go around this area. So the longer one here, you'll see it has like a thicker wall to where that thing would mount. So you'll notice the primary cover might want to come off, so put a little pressure on it so that it don't fall and get scratched. Some like to leave a bolt on the top so that it holds it in place until you're ready, and then you can just back out that last bolt. It appears I forgot one. Please set this down carefully on some kind of soft surface. It falls on the try. You'll notice this is your crank pulley. We call it a compensator pulley. This is on your crank. This is your chain. So you have a chain drive from your crank to your clutch. This is a chain tensioner. You're supposed to have a little bit of play. This allows when you're torquing the engine from the giving it gas to letting gas off, it will allow it to have a little bit of play. This is your clutch. This is your starter. This is your flywheel. Starter will engage and hit your flywheel and turn it over, and then with the proper ignition and gas it'll run. This is tied in back here to your belt. The belt goes to the wheel. The inner primary has to come off when you change out your belt. There's also an allowable bit of slack. Proper slack gives you longevity on your wear and tear on these belts and chains, because you don't want to take that off any sooner than you have to. So now we have the gasket. Be very careful not to kink it. Do not put any bends on it. It's got to be clean. Surface has to be dust free. It'll be on this surface right here. This has to be perfectly clean. Has a couple of guide pins. The guide pin will help you support it so that when you're installing it, it won't fall out of place. Get a close up on the whole thing. See, the holes have to line up. And if it were to be kinked, it might come off the hole and then it'll be hard to start the bolt it'll interfere with the hole. This surface here also has to be clean. No scratches, no dents, clean, no debris from the previous. You'll notice there's an inspection plate here and another inspection plate. This inspection plate for your clutch. This inspection plate is for your tensioner, so that you can adjust it without taking the whole cover off. Carefully, using your little guide pins, it will seat. If I can find it. Thing. There it goes. So you want to start by setting them in a hole, at least two, one on either end, so that it don't fall off. Take a lot of time and polishing my chrome. I don't want it to fall by being just careless and scratch my pretty chrome. You want to start it by hand, because if you were to be using a tool, you won't be able to feel if it's cross threading. So this way you won't have to repair. Ew, we got some lube on there. Lube is good for threads. So this way you snug it down so you know your holes are cleared. Don't forget where your long ones go and your short ones go. You can tell if it's too short, because it's only going to allow you to go so far when you start it. That's obviously too long, because you only have this much room of thread. So that's going to start off as too long. So there, you know, you got a pretty good. Oh, that looks too long too. Oh, that's good. If you remember correctly, before I showed you that long bolts are to these areas that have a high like a surface mount there. See how long that is? Way too long. So you don't want to put one there. It's already in here. It's in here. It's in there. So once they get a good 5 turns or so, you know you're pretty safe on the threads. You see where the shorter bolt has a recess. See how it snugs it in, brings it in a little tighter there. See, a little bit at a time. Not like you're throwing a tire on here. You're going to be very careful. I don't like that one. So let's check. We got one there, got one there, got one there, one there. That's your drain. Got one there. So they're all in, and they're all by hand. And so you do a little snug. Bring them all down evenly with your 3/8 ratchet, your extension, and your Allen key hex head socket. Now I say snug a little bit because you have to get into your manual and get a torque spec, because these are aluminum parts and you can very easily ream the threads right off. Now, like I said, it's not like a tire. You don't have to do a star pattern. Just as long as you don't forget one. Now we're going to look at our manual and we'll find the specs. We'll come back. We're in the middle of a overhaul. This was a 88 cubic inch V-twin Harley Davidson 2004 Electra Glide. So what we've done was we got a 103 cubic inch Screaming Eagle put in it. If you go to the other side, you'll see the Screaming Eagle logo on the side of the engine. This one here maybe.
Screaming Eagle. Right here.
So also, during the build, we powder coated some parts and made sure that it was all going on new. We also put a 6-speed transmission in here. It had a 5 in it. They all come with 5, but in this year is standard 5. So now we have a 6-speed in it. I can't wait. This thing is gonna haul ass.
Alright guys, we'll most likely continue this video next Wednesday, because sadly those are the only days I get to spend with him. And those are the days we'll be able to do these, and I'll be able to upload them probably on either Wednesday nights or Thursday, either mornings or sometime Thursday. I'll make that happen. This is just first one, and basically it. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.
Come back and see us on 101